Cocktails and Content resumes in 1 minute.
Good evening, everybody. It's Tom. It's Cocktails and Content. I hope you enjoyed that. That amused me no end. I've got a bit of a soft spot for the old BBC idents, and so there you go. I think that probably amused nobody other than myself. But there you go. That's what you get when you leave me to do this kind of thing. How are we all? It's Thursday again. I'm not entirely sure how it's Thursday again. The week seems to come round and, you know, it's here and we're back to Thursday in the blink of an eye. What's been going on this week? Well, all sorts. I've seemed to have spent my entire week on live on Zoom calls at all crazy hours of the day. So, you know, we're gonna there you go. Thank you, Genius Proper. I even did a voiceover for it. Thank you. Very kind. I'm glad somebody enjoyed it. Okay, so first of all, we've got the content part, but there's a bit of a lack of the old cocktails here. So I am going to go for a Gibson this evening. So a slightly more savoury cocktail. I'm gonna mix this before we get going. I think so. Last week we were talking about some of the things that get in the way of people kind of going live, doing these, you know, doing these broadcasts and connecting with people, using live video, using any kind of video. And there are lots of reasons why we kind of why we don't do this. So first of all, measure of vodka, measure of white vermouth, bit of a stir. So I'm not shaking this one today, just giving it a bit of a stir, and then just pouring into this glass. Oh, I haven't got a strain. Left my strainer in the kitchen, which is a severe oversight. Whoops, a daisy. Okay. And then some onions. Cheers. Oh God, that's good. Okay, so what are we doing? What are we going to talk about this week? I think that there is. I've been having a lot of conversations with people over the last couple of weeks, and I touched on it last week about the things that stop us going live. I thought we'd be going for a stove. Oh, I missed a trick there, didn't I? Maybe a baby sham. Hello, Danny. How you doing? I've just seen you've tuned in. I do hope you've gone back and watched my intro sequence, which is, you know, I just had such a nostalgia kind of trip whilst I was doing that. But it took me forever to find the font. Thank you. This is very kind. It's all your fault. You're the one who put me onto StreamYard. So Danny is, I don't know if anyone has seen or even been on Danny's show. I've been very fortunate this week to have guested on the morning show, and it's brilliant, absolutely fantastic, and the guests that are on there are fabulous. Now, talking about people who get the strength and value and importance of going live and using video, Danny is an absolute master at this. So I tip my glass to you. And look, there are lots of things that get in the way of going live. So I was chatting again with Danny actually about the stories, that because I hid away from the front of the camera for years and years, and we were trying to pick apart this story, this kind of narrative which had me effectively hiding behind the camera. And I think there are a number of things that happened. So if you don't know my story, I started out in TV. I was never supposed to be there. I'd been working to try and get into the world of art and antiques from like the age of 13. I was one of those weird kids who bought and sold antiques and did them up, and kind of I'd aimed at this job, this dream job of working for a big auction house for years, and I got the job, and then I realized that I physically couldn't live in London on what they were going to pay me. So I kind of I had to rapidly reassess what I was going to be doing with my life. But I was very fortunate in as much that I ended up purely by chance working for working for a TV company. And whilst I was working for that TV company, writing TV ideas, I ended up doing a couple of TV pilots. So there was one that was called Attic Antiques, and another that was called Hell on Earth. The one about antiques was it was a bit of a David Dickinson knockoff, and the other one was a history of art program. And Attic Antiques was hilarious. I've got the VHS copy hidden safely in a vault, and we submitted the idea, and then the letter came back from Channel 4, and it said, we love the program idea, but we just don't think Tom is TV gold. Now, you can imagine how that sort of made me feel. It was like, it was a validation. For me, it came through, I was like, it was a validation of everything that I thought was going to happen. I thought, right, okay, there we go. I've tried it out, and I don't need to get in front of the camera. I've tried it out, and I'm not TV gold. Hashtag TV gold. So I had proof. I had proof that I wasn't TV gold from people who knew this kind of stuff. And so that was it. I could just concentrate on being behind the camera. But the truth is that over the years, I've been telling people to get in front of the camera. I've been telling them to be more visible. I've been telling them to get over themselves. And yet at the same time, I wasn't doing that. So really, there was only one thing that had to happen. I had to just get over the fact that I didn't think I was TV gold, and get out from behind the camera and get out in front of it. And that is not as easy as it sounds. I think we all know that. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's very easy for me to say, you've got to be visible. You've got to be, you've got to get out in front of the camera, and you've got to use that tool. You've got to be somebody who's vocal and all of that stuff. But we don't. We don't. I was the one who was telling everybody to do this, but I wasn't necessarily doing it myself. So the process that I went through to go from being somebody who didn't think of themselves as TV gold, probably more of a TV brass or a TV tin, to being a person who is happy and comfortable being in front of the camera has been one. It's been a learning curve. I will not lie to you. I will never pretend that this is a straightforward process. But what I will tell you is that there are a bunch of tips, tricks, and techniques that I can share. And over the next months and weeks, I will be delving into this kind of storehouse of information that I have, that I've been using with people to help them get comfortable in front of the camera. And we started talking about that last week, didn't we? These kind of some of the science and some of the ideas behind this. And we'll sort of double on back round to some of those ideas and some of those things that you can do later in the show. However, Mike Boss, the boss man, who is our most regular and dedicated member of the audience, has kind of been promising that he's going to go live, and for various reasons, I don't think kind of quite got around to it. But you asked a question, didn't you, earlier, Mike, about using StreamYard. So as you can see, StreamYard is kind of a brilliant tool. You've got, I can play, I can do all sorts of things. I can bring these, I can do all this kind of nonsense. I can even bring up kind of
details and content.
I can all bring up that kind of stuff. You can do all sorts of funky things with it. But it gives you a tool. And I know that you were asking about screen sharing, and I'm going to try and do something. Hopefully this won't look horrible. We'll probably get some kind of Doctor Who style Inception kind of. Here we go. Infinity. Okay, so as you can see, we've got on here. This is the interface that we have, and you can play around with it. So, Mike, you were asking about bringing overlays and slides up to show during your talk. So, are you doing? Is this a 4N online talk you're doing? Are you giving a foresight? If you're still here, or if I'm talking into the void, do tell me. So you can, once you down here, you've got screen share. So I'll just bring that up. Down here, you've got the ability. It says screen share, and along here, you've got the various configurations. So we could have 2 people talking, or one. So so when you are doing your show, you will be able to you'll be able to share a screen, and then you'll be able to have your face alongside it, so you can talk about it. This is a really handy feature. I mean, anybody using live streaming or video calling or whatever is used to the process of sharing screens. But what I really like about this setup, the StreamYard setup, is that actually there's an awful lot of flexibility. So you can bring people in, you can increase the size of the share, you can have a whole screen, you can still keep yourself on the screen. You've got a lot of says Mike says he was thinking of doing a Facebook Live with the same theme as a foresight. I think that is a great idea. Is this a foresight that you have done? Is this a foresight, a presentation that you've done as a foresight before? Don't just want to do it for 4 1. Yeah, I mean, that's it. You want to get more value out of it, and the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it. So tell me, Mike, what is it that what's stopping you? Because I know you sort of you've kind of done a few, you've dipped your toes into video, and I must say you're very good at it. But what are the things that you want to do, and what are the challenges you face, and what would you like to? Are there any questions you want to ask about it? Any kind of troubleshooting you'd like to do? Onion. I've also got a few cheeky olives here, so excuse me if I'm going to nibble an olive. It's a funny thing, isn't it? We kind of have all this technology and all these ways of making it easy for us to go live, and we find a million reasons not to. I mean, it took me ages to go live. Mike says, up until today, what has stopped me has been doing a live, but with no idea what to talk about, but have an idea now. Well, that's really good. That's a hugely important thing to do, because, you know, I would say none of us who use lives to any degree of success go in without a plan. Now, I have a structure, and I was talking about this with Danny on her show. This whole business with the cocktails, it's not because I've got a, you know, it's not because I can't, it's not that I can't do it without a cocktail, but it makes the whole thing a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable, it has to be said. But it's a bit of business. It's something to do. I've got my notes here, I've got my notes in front of me that I've kind of mapped out. But if I dry up, or if I'm sort of needing a moment just to kind of collect my thoughts, I can have a cheeky slap or mix myself another drink. So if you can build a sort of a conceit, a little kind of vehicle within your live format that makes your job a bit easier, then do so. I would strongly recommend jumping in on the next Be Heard course that Danny runs, because it's bloody brilliant. It's really, really good. I feel like I'm just, you know, I feel like I'm just saying, you know, she knows her stuff, and I've never considered myself to be somebody who's shy around doing this kind of thing. But what I've lacked is structure and process, and having structure and process, that the help with structure and process for this kind of thing, for speaking on stages or doing lives, it is mince pies with Bossy. Yes, every time I do this, I thought, hey, so that, love it. Yeah, there you go. You've got this mince pie thing going on, and you could do some fancy mince pies. You could have each week you could make a different mince pie. I can't believe my mince pies. I like that. You know, every time I lose, I thought, I eat another. Love it. You know, you're gonna have to stockpile. You're gonna have to make a lot of mince pies. Now, the interesting thing is, at first, as you practice, you'll probably find yourself eating a lot of mince pies. But as you get better, you might only be on a one mince pie broadcast. So if you measured success by the amount of mince pies, you've eaten all the amount of mince pies left over, surely just a single mince pie would be the hallmark of success. I don't know. Having said that, I'm going to mix myself another one of these, because for a cocktail that's got an onion in it, it's pretty bloody good. I'd really like to get under the skin of this idea of the things that hold us back from doing lives. Hit me with a few of the fears. What are the things that stop us going live? You might find yourself eating a lot of them. Well, you know, is that a bad thing? I don't think it is. Where do you get your? Do you make your own mic, or you know, are you a kind of a seasonal hoarder? Are you you know, whilst everyone else was stockpiling loo rolls, were you stockpiling a seasonal mince pies? Is it even possible to buy mince pies out of season? I'd never considered that. Is it possible? I don't know. I don't know if I care. Well, I think I do care now. God, what this is? We're getting seriously off track here. Worrying. Facebook user. Would if you could is so I am seeing. Hang on, let me just pull up on the other screen. Oh no, I have a great supplier who still makes them. Is it as long as is it being made in a sort of Walter White style RV in the desert? Here we are. What have we got? So it's Claire. Sorry, Claire. If you could Facebook user Claire, if you could at the top of the in the live, it's if you can sort of click on the sort of the link and give StreamYard permission to share your kind of your name. I can share your comment with your name. Cheers. Worrying what people think. Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? It's oh man, that little voice in your head that says I'm not good enough, or that worry, that concern that people have opinions about what you're doing. And the truth is, some people will think it, but the joy of a closed group like this, although I am currently going live on YouTube at the moment, so there is a possibility that I'll get some random trolling going on, but I think I've now got to the stage where I'm not sure I care enough anymore. I've got bigger fish to fry. I've got a business to build, and being visible is part of that process. And I know it's easy to say, but I was bullied at school, and so I've had all that kind of thing where people are kind of, I cared a lot about what people kind of thought, and there comes a point when you think, I just got to get on with it, because people will have opinions. People will have all sorts of opinions, and you can't control what those people want or to do. They're probably quite stupid. If you're the sort of person who goes online to troll random strangers, I can't control what goes on in people's minds, and I can always block people if they come onto my feed. But particularly in a curated community like this, you have control. You have ultimate control. You can get rid of, get rid of people who are being mean. So it's like, Mike says, okay, so what stops me? Knowing what to talk about, not getting anyone watching, working in a dull industry. Okay, let's unpack that, shall we? So the first one, knowing what to talk about. Well, okay, here's the thing. You're quite active on LinkedIn, aren't you, Mike? Put a post up there. Put a post up there now. Go on and say ask people what their top 10 questions about corporate finance are. Because corporate finance, you may think it's boring. Most people think it's terrifying. Because it's one of those things that I think really puts the frighteners on people. So ask, you are a hugely valuable source of information about money and money in business. That is valuable. That is massively valuable. So go and put a post on LinkedIn and say, what do you want to know? And get a list. You can build up a list of things that people want to know. I think I'm going to share. I've talked about it before, but I am going to share my screen. So this is a website called Answer the Public. I've mentioned it before. So corporate finance. Let's see what questions people are asking about corporate finance. So this will help answer the knowing what to talk about question. And it's a big one. Everybody always says this. So these are the questions that people are actively asking about corporate finance online. So we've got what corporate finance mean? What corporate? I mean, you know, tell me if this is the wrong language to be using. It's kind of you know, whatever your keywords are, this will help. So, you know what? I'll go for corporate borrowing. Try that. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if it's wrong, but that's what we're going for. Okay. Asset finance. Okay, let's go for asset finance, shall we, Mike? Okay. Got to get my my lingo wrong. My lingo right, rather. Asset finance. So yeah, so asset finance. So you know, actually, just a simple question like, what is asset finance? Here we are. So these are the questions that people are actively searching for answers for online. So this isn't just like some kind of random weird graph or chart. This is kind of, you know, this is kind of a list of questions that people are asking right now on Google and Bing and various, you know, I don't know what other search engines are there apart from Google. Lycos, Yahoo, Alta Vista. What is asset finance definition? How asset finance works. So which type of asset finance? So we've got all sorts of things that people are asking about. Asset finance and refinance in limited. So asset finance for dummies, asset finance for startup businesses, asset finance and leasing, asset finance in Kenya. Who'd have thought it? Asset finance. So there's a lot of people asking a lot of questions about asset finance. And if you combine a site like that with some just kind of speculative questions online around, you know, on sites like LinkedIn, you can pretty quickly build up a framework for a series of, enough probably to kind of last you for, you know, if you had 52 questions and you're doing one, you've got a year's worth of content. So what you then do is you take that question and you just break it down into its parts. You take your notes and you will write a series of bullet points. Danny calls them monkey bars, and you use them to get from A to B. And, you know, you'll do your introduction, you'll go through your points, and you'll do your out. And you're giving some real value because those are questions that people are asking or they're answers to questions that people have had. So, you know, that's a really easy way to answer that first question. Let's go to you. So that answers know what to talk about. Not getting anyone watching. Okay. Uncomfortable truth time. If you look at how many people are watching this right now, you'll see there are two people. It is you, Mike, and it is you, Claire. The reality is that not even my own mother has tuned in tonight. How very disappointing. Video content marketing and content marketing in general is a long game. It can take up to 18 months to get any real significant cut through. But why do we persevere doing it? Why do I turn up every week doing this? I turn up every week doing this, even when there is nobody watching, because one, I get quite a lot of views on the replay. Two, this is not about the here and now. This is about what this community looks like in 18 months' time. And you build the communities and you build your viewership and you build your audience, not through having one blisteringly brilliant piece of content. You build it through consistency, through consistently delivering value. So you may well not have a single person watching for the first 3 months. And then in months 3 to 6, you may have 3, 4, 5, 6 people watching. But the funny thing that happens after about month, it can anywhere happen between month 6 and month 12. You will reach a point where your audience and your reach starts to increase. This group's got about 300 people in. That is, I'm kind of on the cusp of starting to get higher numbers and greater exposure. And as we increase our sort of consistency and our exposure, the numbers will go up. So the truth is that not getting anything watching is basically how it's going to be for quite a long period of time, but you have to keep turning up. The audience is out there. You've just got to find them. And finding that audience is not a quick process. And that is the cast iron truth about content marketing. It's the bit that everybody hates. When they say, oh, how long is this going to take? How long until I've got my big audience? And you go, oh, well, it could be anything between 3 months and 18 months. And when you're talking to businesses that need results now, that's not what people want to hear. People want to, oh, what have we got? We've got a Chezzy, I think you'll. So if you can you verify yourself with StreamYard, then I can see your name. But Chezzy just said, different times of the day change my views. Absolutely right. I mean, you know, for me, probably 8 o'clock in the evening isn't the best time. But frankly, me having a cocktail in mid-morning is going to look a bit weird. I think people will probably take the wrong impression about me if I'm sat there at 11 o'clock in the morning, where I'd probably get better viewing figures if I'm brutally honest. But the truth of the matter is, you know, I don't think I certainly don't want to be drinking a cocktail mid-morning, not unless it's a mimosa or a Bloody Mary, something like that. You know, a morning cocktail. Yeah, you are going to have a period of time where you're not going to get many people watching, but it'll build, and people will watch it on the replay. That little number in the, where is it? There we go. That little number in the top of the screen, that is great for the ego, but doesn't actually reflect how many people are going to watch the video overall, because the truth is, people are going back and re-watching the video content. You know, even now. I mean, I don't know how many of these I've done. Probably kind of 30 or so now. 30 or so cocktails and content, probably with an average viewership of around, overall at the moment, maybe about 8 people tuning in a week if you averaged it out. That is, you know, if I didn't know what the game was, I'd have given up a long time ago. I like watching you to see what room of your house you're in. Well, of course, I am in the withdrawing room at the moment. This is my this is the room I go into to read my tomes, and yeah, we've got we are a little terrace in Plymouth. Although I might go up to the farm and do a live from the woods at some point again. Yeah, content marketing is a long game. Let's go back to mine. So we've covered off what to say. So go and ask your audience. I'll come back to that point just briefly. You know, I've talked about ideal audience members, identifying your ideal audience in the past. So That is a really valuable exercise to go through. If you've not done it for a while, I would recommend you go back and have a look at the first module in the training, download some of the printables and have a look at the ideal audience exercise and get your head around that again, because that will help connect you a bit more precisely with your audience. God, I'm going a bit Boris Johnson. I think it is time to so find out a little bit more about your audience, work out what they want to know, and kind of give them what they want. Not getting anyone watching. Well, the reality is you're not going to have people watching for a while, but you've got to keep going. You've got to do it in the knowledge that people will turn up. They will turn up, but you've got to keep going. Working in such a dull industry. You keep saying this, Mike. I don't think it's true. It's not. You do not work in a dull industry, and you've got to stop. You've got to stop telling people it's dull, because it's not. It's really, really important. Money makes the business world go round. Without it, business grinds to a halt. You are a man who keeps the cogs of commerce turning. And I think positioning yourself as an approachable, friendly, knowledgeable individual who can help people understand this frankly terrifying world. Money scares a lot of business owners. They all want more of it, but they don't quite know how to navigate the murky waters of assets and asset finance. So Mike says it may be useful, but it's incredibly dull. Look at some of the people and content in there. Yeah, but that's not you. They're other people. I don't care about those other people. I care about you. You're not dull. You like mince pies and doing funny videos, and you know your stuff. Jesse says, also, I've learnt that people in a business Facebook group act differently from those who are not in business. Not on Facebook as much, there for entertainment. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So, yeah, we within a business community kind of use Facebook differently. It's just true. We do. You're absolutely right. This is as much a business platform for me as it is a social platform. In fact, if I'm brutally honest, I don't use Facebook for social. I've connected with amazing people here. I would never have met you, Jesse, or Mike, or Danny, or any of the lovely people I've met without Facebook and without being on Facebook for business. But I don't use it for, I don't use it for kind of randomly posting pictures of the dog's not here. I don't use it for randomly posting pictures of the dog or kind of putting out half-baked opinions about coronavirus or whatever nonsense is being shared. I use it with a purpose. But yeah, I think you're right. It's kind of, there are different audiences. But the great thing about Facebook is that it is, the audience is there. Whatever your sphere of expertise, there is an audience out there who are ready and hungry for what you've got to say. And as Mike says, it may be useful, but it's incredibly. I think you got to stop telling people it's dull. You got to tell people it's sexy. Money, yeah, baby. The business does not function without it, and it is a sort of, it's a truth, an incontrovertible truth that without access to money, business cannot grow very easily. It can grow, but it's a real bloody slog. if I had 200 grand to spend on video track, it would have been we could have just pumped some money into a decent marketing campaign and had a sales team and just sold the service into into business. It kind of just I'm popping out of a Warhammer group, but spend longer in groups like yours watching content. Well, that's it. I mean, I've got a confession. I'm a massive nerd. This may or may not be the time and place to share it, but I've been a big nerd for many years, and Chesney and I we recently discovered we have interests in common. Yes, so yeah, but you see, I would say this: you're using Facebook as a way to connect with like-minded people, and I do the same. I use it to talk to old friends, and that's really on Messenger. I use it to learn stuff. I use it to share stuff, and I use it to indulge my interests. So it's about, for me, it's about community, and that's what I love about it. You are able to build communities. I don't really get on, I don't think I ever look at my feed, really. I'm always straight into the group here or straight into other groups, and it's really around the communities within this kind of within this space. So communicating with those communities, like we are doing now, like you are considering doing, Mike, with your with your live content. This is a really important part of the process, because it depends on which side of the equation you want to be. Do you want to be a consumer predominantly, or a communicator and a creator? Because I think it's fairly obvious that the creators and the communicators, the active communicators, the people who are pushing information out there, are the ones who get the rewards. It is there for the taking. So, be bold. Your industry isn't boring. Mike says, weeping. Oh God! You see, is that crying tears of laughter emoji? Is that? I don't know. What is an emoji? Okay, so any last questions? I feel like I've just this is a cri de coeur. This is a battle cry for you, Mike. Pick up your pick up your asset finance banner and wave it proudly. Wave it proudly. Show people that your industry is vital, and it's going to be more vital than ever, actually, in this world where there's a huge amount of opportunity. But post-corona, with any event like this, there is opportunity as well as disaster, and finance will play a part in that. And actually having helping people understand this kind of not sure. Bossy for me. Mike Boss should be Count Boss of Bossfordshire. Look, come on, you've got the name for it. Please go for it. I want to see lives, and when you go live, invite us. Tell us when it's happening, and we will be there. Do you have a community set up, Mike? I have to ask. Have you got the asset finance education community, or whatever you call it? Do you know who Do you know who your primary audience is? I'm assuming this is you've not met me, have you? I am probably at the point where I'm going to mix myself another cocktail and regret it. But that's probably better done in a private setting. So I'm going to shout out for any last questions. And then if there's nothing, I'm going to wind this bad boy up. I've really enjoyed this evening. Thank you very much. Chesney says, what's your elevator pitch, Mike? Good question. Now, Mike, so that's interesting. You've got a good following on LinkedIn. Have you got the capacity to, I can't remember if I've asked you this before. Do you have the capacity to go live on LinkedIn? If not, it might be worth requesting that, because you have a good, because if you have a good following on LinkedIn and are active, it may well be worth seeing if you can get onto their early access live program. Because if your audience is on LinkedIn, it might be worth kind of building your live, if you've got the capacity to go live there, or can get the capacity to go live there, that would be that'd be fabulous, and I think it would work very well for you. Funny you should ask about elevator pitches. I'm working on that at the moment. Yeah, the elevator pitch is the, you know, the kind of yeah. I tell you what, I'll share the link for LinkedIn live application. So I've just chucked this into the comments. I'm assuming this goes up. Oh, Aggie has joined. So hello, Aggie. How you doing? You come to say hello and learn about video and stuff. Yes. So we have. It would be worth finding out if you do have the capacity to go live on LinkedIn, because if your audience is there, Mike, that would make a whole heap of sense for you. Aggie, you're gonna have to go up to the top and ask and grant live stream permission to show your name, because at the moment you are just Facebook user, and I know you are so more than that, so much more than that. So Aggie, oh good, brilliant, Mike, that's fantastic. Yeah, I've applied, but because I'm not very active on LinkedIn, they're probably not going to give it to me, because they think, well, you know, why would we make you sheriff of LinkedIn town, in live sheriff of LinkedInsville? They wouldn't. But Mike, if you're active on LinkedIn, you might get the special badge. So I think probably this might be a good place to tie this whole thing up. To sum up, there are a lot of things that we do as people in business to avoid being visible, and yet at the same time spend a lot of time worrying about where the business is coming from. And this is a very difficult thing to square, because you think, okay, marketing is about visibility. It's about how visible you are to your target audience. And yet at the same time, a lot of people are very scared to be visible. Well, not scared. Scared is the wrong word. Have got lots of reasons why they hide themselves away, why they dislike being visible. So either one or two things have got to happen in that situation. Either you've got to stop wanting your business to grow because you can't, you can't face the idea of marketing, or you become more visible. I know that everybody who is a member of this group, in fact, I've never met in my almost 20 years of doing this, I've never met anyone who has not got the capacity to be really good in front of the camera. It is just a matter of confidence, self-belief to a point, and having a system. And that is what I'd like to give here in this group over the coming months, is the system to become comfortable with video and happy with being more visible. On that note, I will leave you this week. My name is Tom Stanhope, and I love video, and I want you to love video as much as I do. Thank you for watching Cocktails and Content, and did I say just thank you for watching Content and Cocktails, and I will see you here live next week at the same time. Thank you very much.